Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the World Explorer podcast. This is the podcast where we take a prompt and then we proceed to build an entire world around it. My name is Cassie, and I'm joined as always by Isaac, who is our prompt master and provides the
Peanut.
Peanut?
Peanut.
Is this another random one, or does it actually have something to do with the prompt?
That has nothing to do with the prompt. I just want peanuts.
There are a lot of people in the world who wouldn't.
Peanuts are good.
Not if they kill you.
Anyway. Oh, yeah, that's true. Anyway, so today we are world building knowledge. Because I was playing a game recently, and it's a game with resources, wood, stone, etc. And there's this whole trading system, but one of the resources you can get is knowledge. And then my mind just started going wild, and I thought, well, what if knowledge was a finite resource?
You mean like something you could buy? Like a college tuition?
Basically, yeah, instead of going to college, you can just buy the knowledge.
Okay, so is this something like you read a book and it just sticks with you better, or do you drink a potion, or do you inject yourself with something?
I think that literally any of those could be how this is done. Now, I thought that there's two different ways that we could do this. One is where it is a resource we can just go and collect it, maybe mine it, or wherever you get knowledge from, the magic knowledge fountain. Or, alternatively, if one person knows a thing, no other person can know that thing.
So only one person's allowed to know how to breathe?
I think that, I thought about that, and I thought that there would probably be some, baseline knowledge that everyone has. Like, everyone has the knowledge, basic knowledge of how to speak, breathe, walk, basic function, basically the knowledge of how to function.
Yeah, but I know foreign languages is a big thing you learn, but are you suggesting that every language only has one person knowing it?
We could make this world only have one language.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's it. Those are the two ideas. One is where it's like everybody, only one person or a set amount of people can know a certain thing, and the other is just anyone can know it. You just have to obtain the knowledge somehow, but it's not like read a book or get told that you know it.
Okay, so how about combos here? So let's take a little bit of each idea. The idea that only one person can know it seems a bit confusing and sketchy, and it sounds like you have a world of 20 people and maybe it works, but like a whole planet of life, there's so many plot holes and things you'll fall into, and it just doesn't seem plausible. The idea, though, that if you have a knowledge, you can then mine your own brain and give it to people in a more convenient way than actually trying to teach them something, that might work better. Like, that's an interesting idea, like being an apprenticeship to a toolsmith, but instead of sitting there over the forge and having to learn it all, you just kind of give it to them.
Yeah, you
and
just
then they have it.
know.
Yeah. So one thing you can say, though, is that people can give up their knowledge and give it to someone else. You could have a trade of knowledge. Could be a thing. So the toolsmith's ready to retire, so he gives up all his knowledge to his son. He no longer can do any of the toolsmith stuff, but his son has all the knowledge of his forefathers crammed in his head now.
Ooh. I like it. So we have this thing with our school system where basically the idea is once the new generation comes in, we teach them, we sit them down for years and teach them the stuff that the previous generations have learned, so that we don't start at zero each time.
Mm-hmm.
This one, would there really be much of a school system, or would there be maybe a baseline school system, then once you get a little bit older, you're suddenly given Knowledge. Wait, does the knowledge of like everything in that person's life get passed down? Like
I think you can
all the
choose. I think you have
okay,
choices. I think you have
I'm
complete
thinking there's a
internal
lot of
control.
secrets that would be
Yeah, no,
revealed.
no. I think you have complete and other control of what you give up, like what knowledge you want to pass on. So, and it's a willing thing, so you can't just be forced to give up knowledge. You have to willingly pass it on.
Okay.
My thing about this is that this sounds like it's gonna turn into The Giver, real fast, where you have like the kids get their basic training and find what like they're passionate about, and then they get set in those little sects and they live their whole life there, and then the knowledge is passed on, and then when you're old you're disposed of.
That was so beautiful until the last moment.
Honestly, the Giver
uh,
World, I know people don't like the Giver World. The Giver World doesn't sound that bad. Like, it's the only issue with the Giver World is the lack of emotions. But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of problems with it, but I don't think it's as bad of a world as people think it is if they dive deep into it. But that is a whole debate for, like, an episode in itself.
yeah, it's not whether or not the world is good like to live in or anything. It's whether or not it's interesting world building.
Yeah. Well, some things that are interesting about the world is trying to decide if it's nice to live in this world, like if this is something you actually want to happen. Like, do you like the idea of being able to give up your memories to someone else? One question is, can you force your memories upon others? Like your knowledge, I
I'd
should
say
say.
no. I think it has to be like a willing thing. Maybe what it is there's like uh the knowledge has to be placed into some sort of a container, and
Okay.
then that container it can be removed from that container and put into someone or something else. Uh,
I mean, but at the same, that
this
seems like a good way to get knowledge forced away from, like, if you put the knowledge in a container and you go to give it to someone you want and then it gets stolen. Anyway, I guess that's interesting
yeah,
storytelling.
I think you could do that.
And have it, and then have someone
Like
else take it.
if you stick it in a book or a bottle or whatever knowledge comes in, somebody could run over and steal that knowledge.
You can also have quests for supposed people who left their knowledge behind and hid it somewhere, and you have like adventures hunting for the ultimate knowledge. Only to
Yeah,
find
you
out
could.
it's like just how to make a great cheesecake or something stupid like that.
Yeah, you could have stories where it's like, oh, we need to infiltrate this military base or get into the bank to perform a heist or something, and then you need to get somebody on the inside and obtain their knowledge. Or
Yeah.
maybe there's like these convoys that like really transport knowledge from point A to point B, and that knowledge uh, has the information you need to disable a security system for a heist. So they have to steal that knowledge to get into the to perform their heist.
Or it could even be like a thing of getting into higher society. Like if you have certain, I mean, skills, having different types of skill levels put you in different levels of society. So being able to steal a higher society's knowledge, like a higher, like say they have someone who's just a really good president. Like he's just good at managing the country. He does a great job. So they like train someone up to and pass that knowledge on. So they always have a good ruler. Uh, Stealing that memory, like managing to get him during that ceremony and
Well,
snag that memory, that would be a big deal. Cause
well, you
now,
got to keep in mind that they are not just at that point. You're not just transferring the transfer of the memory that won't necessarily make this person a good ruler because you're combining the memories and knowledge of this previous person with a totally different character
well, yeah,
who
that's
might
why
use this
that yeah, but
knowledge.
that's why that person like that this person's been like raised up to take the knowledge, like to be ready for it. They've been raised the same way for centuries, and it's worked. We've had good rulers. Why don't fix something that's not broken type thing. But all of a sudden, you have this ceremony of when the one ruler is passing it on to the other. All of this added knowledge over centuries. There's a ton of stuff in this jar right now, and then all of a sudden something happens and the jar's gone and someone's taken it, and now someone else has the knowledge of all this knowledge of how to rule a proper country, and they gotta find this person And the person who was like supposed to become ruler now has to go on this quest to find this person and convince them to give him back his knowledge. And along the way, he learns he does indeed have the skills to be a good ruler and diplomat, as he convinces this other person to give it up willingly and avoids conflict. Just
Alright,
tie
so
up the
what?
story in a bow. And
So, something else I'm wondering about. What if the knowledge is forgotten? Like, can you still
uh,
forget knowledge in this world?
that's a good question. I want to
Because
say no, because it's not your knowledge to forget most of the time.
just gotta keep in mind, the human brain does actually have a capacity. There is a limit as to how
Which
much
is why
knowledge.
I think we made a mistake when we started saying memories. This isn't memories, this is just knowledge. Like, it's a basic understanding of things that's improved
Yeah,
over time. Like, you don't
when
have. Yeah, go ahead.
I learn how to make a cake, but I don't pass on my memory of learning to make that cake to somebody. I pass on the recipe for the cake.
And, like, tips on how it works and stuff. So, for going back to, like, the diplomat thing, you don't have memories of him completing all of these things. All you have are, like, knowledge of social cues and and a lot of cultural knowledge and stuff that it would take you years and you might never ever fully master, because that's a lot of stuff to know. But that's you would eventually, once you hit 90, have all that knowledge, but now you can just have it in an instant instead of taking the 90 years.
Yeah, but you also have to keep this in mind. You might have knowledge, but
You
that
don't
knowledge
have
is not the
wisdom.
same as knowledge is not the same as wisdom.
Yeah.
Like, because I can take knowledge, and knowledge will allow me to build a nuclear weapon. But wisdom is what I need to know how to use said weapon, or rather not use it, because it's probably smarter just just to throw it out, just get rid of it, shoot it into the sun.
That sounds like a bad idea too. But there's also you want to disable it safely without having it go off. But
Yeah,
there's also like physical things as well. Like, you may know how to be a blacksmith, but if you don't have the physical strength to be a blacksmith, then it means nothing. Like, if you can't slam the hammer down, it doesn't matter if you know the perfect way to slam that hammer down if you physically can't.
yeah. If you're just if like you're a scholar who has looked into every little technique of blacksmithing, essentially, but you've never left your chair and your desk, so you are a dry spaghetti noodle.
And the best thing you can do is pass on all that book knowledge you've learned to someone who actually has the physical strength to do it, and then they can be epic at it.
Yeah, just pass it on to you've always got those character archetypes and cliches, like you got your big guy and you've got your smart guy. Well, in this world, your smart guy can give the knowledge to the big guy.
But then he loses the knowledge, and that's the thing, though. Like, you don't get that
That's
back. You have to relearn it, everything that you
yeah,
give up. Yeah, because, like, you could have all the techniques to be a good singer, but if you don't have the vocal cords for it, doesn't matter.
yep.
Just doesn't matter.
So there's a lot of people who just don't have a physical capability to do X, but they know how to do X.
Yeah.
And this is very where a lot. This is why the smart guy and the big guy combo works so well, and this is why it shows up so many times in stories. Is because they cover each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they play off of each other really well. But in this world, there's a decent chance that the big guy would be just as smart as the smart guy,
Yeah.
because the big guy can just go to the store, buy some knowledge, and boop, stick it in his head.
Yeah, but I think something interesting like that the smart guy can do is, I think people who have the ability to memorize things really fast, like really quickly and easily, like read a bunch of books, I think can make a living off of just learning the same things over and over again and then forgetting it and then selling it.
Yeah, this would definitely happen, and I mean, you would have the memory, you would remember like learning it.
You
You
just
just wouldn't
recall what you
know how to do
learned.
it anymore. You just forgot how to do it.
Yeah.
and then you just keep on going and you relearn. And now that you have the system down, it's not like you're going to forget it and then forget how you learned it. You'll get a system down where you'll be able to relearn it extremely quickly.
Yeah, and then you just sell that to people who don't want to take the time to learn it, and you could sell that at a high price because like you're dedicating it. You are pretty much selling someone a fast pass in a career, and that's
Much.
worth a lot.
You could literally sell a PhD essentially
In a bottle.
Yeah, although I don't think they should be bottles. I feel like they should be scrolls or books or something more knowledge feeling. Something that feels like a container for knowledge.
Yeah, but
A
it also
bottle,
I think it should also feel like something that like dissolves and disappears after you use it, which is why I was thinking like a drink or something.
uh, yeah, that does make sense.
Also, like
okay, so
I
you
want
eat
people
the
who can't
scroll.
read can use it. You eat the scroll?
You eat the scroll. You stick it in your mouth and you chew.
I mean, I have mixed feelings. uh,
Yeah, this is by far the greatest world building I have ever done.
I mean, it
You
could just
stick it in
be,
your mouth and you chew.
or hear me out. It could be like those patches that you put on your skin and kind of dissolves into it, which is a technology we're trying to master and struggle with, but one of those type things.
Maybe.
But at the same time, I feel like it should be this dramatic thing. I mean, you're passing on knowledge. It's grand and mystical.
Okay,
And
what if it's not an item? Well, maybe. I was gonna say you could pass it directly on from one person to another. Just stick
But-
your thumb on their forehead. I don't
yeah,
know.
but then we also
But
have the whole
then-
element of people being able to steal it. You can't exactly
Yeah, we
sell
lose a
it
lot if
properly.
we lose a
Yeah,
lot if there's no container for it.
yeah. I feel like it can't be passed directly from person to person. There has to be a in-between thing that takes it, and that's where you get all your stories from. Is when that in-between moment goes horribly wrong.
Okay. I would still say like maybe a scroll, but as for people who can't read, who would like want to gain the knowledge to read, um, maybe it's a thing. Whoever looks upon the scroll gains the knowledge.
I
don't know.
I feel like you have to do something. And what's to prevent 20 people looking at the scroll at the same time? And then how does it decide which one gets it?
Okay, so that 20-step recipe, each person knows one step.
See, that, I don't think that's what we want, though.
Okay, whoever looks upon it first down to the millisecond, or however you say that, kiloseconds.
Then, okay, so then my question is, like, does it close automatically then when it's done being created?
Yeah, probably.
It'd have to come out closed.
Yeah, maybe it's got some words on it, but those words are probably insignificant. Ooh, I got it.
Okay.
Okay, so the words are from a divine court or something like that. Or maybe there's a better word for that we'll come up with, where they are basically the gods of knowledge, and maybe what they can do. No, never mind. This is building off of a previous idea that we no longer have. Never mind.
We're struggling.
Scratch that.
Honestly, knowledge scroll works, and it's whoever opens it, and if it's multiple people, it kind of knows which ones. I guess who's ever closest or whoever looks upon it first gets it, but it does have a one-person limit, and if you try to cheese it, it's gonna randomize who gets it.
Yeah.
Which could be
warrior.
Which could be an interesting like ceremonial thing, is when you have the scroll and you have multiple people who are seen by the community as worthy of it, and then they all kind of gather in a circle and they all touch it and they all pull it open at once, and then it just picks at random which one it is, and they see it as like fate has destined this person, but the reality is it was a random number generator and this person's number just happened to be the one picked.
I like it.
Yeah.
And now something else I want to world build. These scrolls, how do they contain this knowledge exactly? Because it's not a normal scroll, obviously.
No,
Like
of
this
course
is
not.
a magic scroll.
Yes, very.
So, what are they using to make the scrolls with? Like, I imagine is it magic paper? Is there a tree, special tree that it comes from? Is it something that the paper rolls around that actually holds the magic and the knowledge?
I just, it feels like a will of the people that just creates the scroll. Like, you just desire your knowledge and you focus in, and then it just forms in your hands, and you feel it losing, coming out of your head, it's forming here. Like, it's just knowledge taking on a physical form. So, it's not like you're creating something new. You're just transforming one thing into another thing, and then it'll transform back when it gets read.
Okay, so you're basically creating the container.
Yeah, that way, because
When you
I
went to...
think this is something anyone should be able to do at any time. Especially
okay.
if, because dramatic death scenes where someone's doing this while they're dying, I think is a plus, and should not be denied to the reader or writer.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have mentor death scene as they're sitting there, and you want them to just tell you something. Like, it's something they could probably just tell you in a second, but they're too busy passing on all their knowledge to you, and you're just sitting there like, but dude, look, seriously, in the moment though, I need to know how to do that, or else we're all gonna die. And they're like, no, let me pass down all my knowledge to you. And you're like, how long is this gonna take? We gotta go. And they're like, no, no, no. I have lived for 80 years and I've had about 10 ancestors before me whose knowledge is in this. This is going to take a minute. And they go back to focusing and say so. Just like... And then they're a mumbling mess of nothingness, and you've got these new knowledge, and you open it, but it still doesn't help you because you can't sort out all the new knowledge to figure out how to solve the problem in front of you, and it's just a whole thing.
I mean, one option is give a little bit of knowledge this person needs directly to them, and then put the rest of it into these scrolls.
Well, this is some mentors don't think about that.
I guess when you're dying, it is hard to
Yeah,
give you're losing a lot of blood.
and you really just want to make sure all your knowledge is partaked onto this kid, and you're like, no, this is the most important thing. Even though probably the most important thing is telling them the thing they need to know at that very moment so that person doesn't die. But, to each their own. Priorities differ according to different people.
Okay, now does each scroll have an unlimited capacity for knowledge, and it can be sort of unorganized? For example, one scroll can contain the cake recipe. It can also contain the location of the hidden treasure, and it can also contain how to play the guitar. Or does the scroll have to be one specific thing?
I mean, both have interesting uses. I think having a mix is the easiest to write, because then you don't have to sit there kind of defining what one thing is.
Yeah.
Like, people are like, oh, maybe it's just a song, and you're like, no, actually, it's all the movements of the guitar. And they're like, okay, but does guitar care count? Or building a guitar, can you put that in there? Or is that a separate thing? Can guitar building be an electrical thing instead? You could see where people would get, like...
Yeah.
People like to
get
nitpick.
A little confusing.
People like to
and
nitpick.
Difficult to write.
And people
but,
like to nitpick.
Yeah, I think that multiple things would be better. And then if you were to, say, go to a knowledge library... they would probably have it organized and labeled.
It would also be behind cases. Because you'd have to... I don't think there's a place where you just get free degrees.
Yeah, unlike normal libraries, where you go in and you relearn stuff, these ones, it's like everything's locked up.
And you gotta pay for it. Or, I don't know, prove who you are and why you have a right to this knowledge.
Yeah.
Earn the
and
knowledge.
I mean, I think that normal libraries would still exist so that people can go and relearn stuff and then make more knowledge
Well,
scrolls.
I think basic knowledge is still a thing. Like, you can buy instant guitar knowledge, or you can practice the guitar for ages and master it that way. Like, you can still do both.
Yeah. Can you learn the same thing twice?
Oh, you mean like learn it, forget it, and then relearn it again?
No, I mean learn it, and then while you know it, what happens if you try and look upon another scroll that tells you how to do the exact same thing?
I think it just blends into you. I think it still gets used.
Okay, just
It just,
nothing happens.
yeah, you just don't get anything new if there wasn't anything new to learn. Usually there's like something like you might realize, oh, I was doing this slightly wrong, and then you fix it. Or, I mean, and then a lot of it is just there's different techniques to do something, and some might be better and some might not be. And you could be learning a new technique to do it, but it doesn't mean you're learning the better technique. Like, you might already know the better technique. But now you have another
Okay.
technique you can try out, and then when you realize, actually, I like mine better, and that was a waste of $5,000, but whatever, and then you just go back to doing what you were doing.
Okay. Now, something for an interesting story setup. Instead of making this like a widespread thing, I actually think that this is another one of those things that would work better as a smaller story element where it's more uncommon, and maybe there's certain like a few people who are trained in how to transfer the knowledge, or maybe it's a certain race of people who are able to do it, and not
Mm.
ever. Only if you're descended from certain people you can do it. Uh, or maybe it has to be a gift from a divine figure, whatever.
Or it could be
If
like a
I think
thing
that
you have to have had it passed down to knowledge passed down on to you to be able to have the knowledge to pass it down to someone else. Like it just comes
yeah,
with it.
yeah, I think that it could this would make for a better, smaller element and part of one world. And if you were to do that, this could work as the wide scale thing too. But I think it would work better as a smaller element. But if you were to do that, I think that a good villain ability would be someone who has learned how to steal knowledge directly from someone's head.
Yeah, so they don't need the person's permission type thing.
Yeah,
Which is
and I'm sure that
terrifying.
there would be some people who just like uh, would torture somebody until they give it up. Like those kind of that's the sort of thing that would absolutely happen. Kind of like interrogate. It's kind of like
Yeah, but you know, having a
interrogating somebody. Except this one, you know, the information they're giving you is true.
yeah, you know, kind of like losing your yeah. I think that would be an interesting development or an interesting villain. Especially considering as a villain you're learning new knowledge and how that so every time the villain takes something from someone, how does that actually affect them, especially if they're taking knowledge from a good person who's been learning how to be good and has knowledge about why you should be good, if that would affect a villain at all.
I think that more what the villain would do is his ability would be to take somebody and then start searching for a specific thing. Like he knows what he wants from this person, and this magical ability, or maybe it's a magic staff or whatever, would start searching this person's mind for it. And if it can't find a match, it's like, oh, you don't have it. Guess nothing happens.
I mean, they probably kill
Uh,
the person and walk away in true villain fashion with the blood spewing out through the door, you know, as it does.
Violent.
I, just, I it's a story.
Yep. And and then and then keep in mind, each time this person gains knowledge, steals knowledge from somebody, this person has instantly grown in power.
Yeah.
So it's basically gonna be like you could have this villain. The story could be about him hunting down somebody who knows a certain thing, and this person is trying to escape the villain. And along the way, they're trying to figure out, well, how do we defeat this guy who's constantly trying to find me? And maybe they're tracing them through knowledge and taking the knowledge of other people to figure out how to find them. For example, have you seen a young lad running through here about yay height? It looks sort of like a chosen one kind of person.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh no, I haven't seen anybody. Oh, haven't you? Steal the knowledge. It's like, yep, now we know where he went.
Yeah, and now he can't like trust anyone. He can't talk to anyone. He has to stay completely hidden.
Yep. It's like that already happens in a lot of stories, but this would be taking it to another level where it's like there is literally no one you can trust,
And then meanwhile,
and no
this
one you
person
can
might be
tell.
trying to hunt down someone who could teach him how to do what he's doing back, like how to take his knowledge when he tries to take his.
Yeah, and I could see times where it's like maybe a character has some sort of information, but doesn't want the villain to have it. So either destroys that knowledge or
Stores
hides it
it. Yeah,
away
stores it
for, or
in the
stores it away
scroll.
for later on,
I mean, that could be like
or puts it into
another.
some.
Honestly, that could be another interesting story with that is that the villain's going about gathering information, people catch word, and they know what he's looking for, and then they have sent a messenger out who is going to these people and collecting the scrolls with the knowledge that this guy wants, and then scattering and like constantly staying one step ahead of this villain, collecting these scrolls and then hiding them in different places. And he's the only one with the knowledge of where these scrolls are hidden. So now this guy has to hunt down this person to find the scrolls.
Ooh, here's another one. Uh, Farm Boy Nobody is just doing his thing with his totally not going to die parents.
Yep.
And so he's just doing his thing, and then this old man shows up and says, "Here, take this." As he's running off, so, he's like, "Here's a scroll of knowledge. I need to get it out of here. Don't let anybody have this scroll." Maybe he says, "Go destroy this scroll" or whatever. As he's running away from this villain's guards or something.
Of course, Farm Boy's like, "Ooh, knowledge scroll," opens it up, and
yes, and now he has the knowledge, but he doesn't have the knowledge of how to lose this knowledge, like how to turn it into a scroll or pass it on to anybody else. And so now he's stuck with it. And now the villain captures this old man, and he's like, "Haha, I finally have your important knowledge of how to gain ultimate power," or whatever. And then he's like, "Wait, where is the knowledge? What have you done with it?" And now,
then he knows because he asked that question, and then he can see that he passed it on to a farm boy.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, you passed it on to a farm boy, so now I know how to. And now I just have to find the farm boy." And then he goes and along the way trying to find the farm boy. This farm boy. Let's just say he went over to Toshi Station to get some power converters or something, and while he was out, his home got destroyed, and his parents totally did not die along with his home being destroyed. But when he went to Toshi Station, he found this wonderful mentor. We'll name him just out of
Isaac,
off the top of my head, Gandalf.
Isaac, we get it. We don't need to run that. It is a classic. It's a classic tale that takes many forms and shapes.
Yeah.
And we just introduced another one into the world. Does the world need another one? I mean, it's not gonna die from having another one, but
no, if it's done well enough, I'm okay with another one.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on most stories. Like, I mean, do we need another? If it's done well, then sure, we needed it.
I mean, Avatar: The Last Airbender is like every cliche on planet Earth, but it's all done really, really well, so it immediately stops being a cliche.
Exactly. So we just gave a new fun element for this to happen, and you can mix it up. The parents don't have to die. You could go the orphan boy route, but that's just another cliche in itself.
No, you can give him an uncle and aunt to die.
Okay. Well, I would like.
His parents will be one will be the dead mother, the other will be the Dark Lord. They're running the galaxy.
I mean, he kisses his sister at some point, right?
Yes, of course. You can't not have that.
Okay, I think we're good. I think we're going into. I think we're past world building at this point, entering stories, but I think we did a lot. We showed how it could be used in small doses, how it can be used in big doses, some of the effects, and we did a lot of story building today too, like different stories you can do with either politicians or ceremonies and stuff like that based around this one item.
I personally really like the idea of a villain who has gained the ability to steal knowledge that has a lot of plot potential, a lot of story potential.
I just also like the idea of someone stealing knowledge that was necessary, and now someone having to go hunt this one person down and get it back. I think is also a story with a lot of potential in it too. There's a lot of story potentials. Like I like this plot element. I think it's interesting, and I think it's diverse in uses, which is always fun when we create one of those.
I think this one turned out well.
Yeah. And we're going to be ending it. You can join us next week where we will world build another world as we do. And yeah, bye guys.
I'm singing a song about knowledge. I'm singing a song I don't know. I'm singing a song, make it up on the fly. Singing a song, and now I'm going to die. I needed something to rhyme with fly, but now I have nothing left in my head. So just beware when I go and suddenly drop dead.
Okay.